The dean of my high school called me to his office, and I thought I was in trouble. But he said that he had seen a drawing of mine in the annual student art exhibition, and he asked if I would be interested in doing an apprenticeship with him over the summer, that he was a stone carver. And I was fascinated. From the very beginning, when I first hit that hammer onto the chisel and saw the alabaster being removed from the stone, I was hooked. This is sort of organized. I would say my artistic practice has changed with every day that has passed. I've become increasingly comfortable with calling myself a sculptor. One of the things that I really love is teaching. I wanted to transmit not only the skill sets, but also the encouragement, the enthusiasm, the excitement that I felt like I had gotten. If I think about the work that I do, there's always a way in which the external pressures of the world inform what it is that I'm working with. Art takes some of the vision that can't always be put into words into a space that is not just about the symbolic realm, but it's also about the sensory. And that's one of the reasons why I don't only just engage with traditional artistic materials, but I think about food. Making this artwork called Return, the date syrup cans were a kind of pivotal moment that talks about provenance. The date syrup can is actually from Iraq, but it gets labeled as product of Lebanon as a way to circumvent the UN sanctions. So the xenophobic kinds of pressures turn that date syrup can from being something mundane to being something that, for me, coming from an Iraqi Jewish family, was sacred. In 2003, I started a collaboration with my mother, Enemy Kitchen, where I taught different public audiences the recipes that she and my grandmother had made throughout my life. And that project has evolved from cooking workshops to also being a fully functional food truck. The Invisible Enemy Should Not Exist focuses on the destruction of Mesopotamian cultural heritage in the midst of the Iraq War and in its aftermath. So I started to think on a project that would somehow implicate the way in which our museums are these crime palaces that hold all of these objects that have also been extracted in the past in ways that can be considered looting. This project has moved in a direction where it's ongoing, but it's also grown to, unfortunately, include the sites of places targeted by ISIS. So this piece is actually born out of a collaboration with the Institute for the Study of Ancient Cultures. My studio and I, we reappear the reliefs that were destroyed, but we also reappear the gaps that were left behind to show that this is a disappearance that in fact began in 1849 with the excavations of these reliefs going to museums elsewhere. And so what it does is it puts the viewer into the position of an Iraqi so that you can see what was destroyed, but you can also see the gaps and the fragments that Iraqis have had to look at their culture through for all of these years. So it's a palimpsest of these different moments of removal. And so some of the wrappers that you see here run a large range of different kinds of products that are on tables and in the kitchens of people in the diaspora, whether they come from Iraq, from Syria, from Palestine. It's a lot of detail work, and it takes many different pairs of hands. And so I've been very lucky to work with the team that I'm working with all these years. What we did with this particular piece, we reunited this work with the head, which happened to be in the collection. We also included this quote from Sheikh Khalid al-Jabouri: "I wasn't as devastated when they, ISIS, destroyed my house or when they killed some of my relatives, because this is life, all of us die. But Nimrud, Khalku, was like a part of our family. This heritage was part of our lives, part of all of Iraq." And so, with these quotes, it deepens our understanding of what cultural heritage means, that it isn't just an artifact of some disconnected past, that the people of Mesopotamia still feel very much connected to these works, and that these are their ancestors. I've always thought about art as being a place of vision, where something new happens. I think that it can sometimes be a place where I can prototype ways of being together that surmount the realities of our world. And I try to escape the real world with my work. And so I think that the driving force behind my work is probably about us peeking through these seemingly insurmountable or impenetrable walls that allow us to see new ways, and that things can reappear, that things can be mended, and that there can be propositions of how we can live together. I hope that there's a lot of things in the future that will render my work obsolete. I hope that I won't have to make ghosts of disappeared artifacts because they will all have reappeared, or that there will be an abolition of war and I won't have to work with people who are victims or perpetrators. I don't want our cultural heritage to end up in a vitrine. I want us to use our objects and to continue to transmit our traditions and our rituals, and to see them grow and even change into the future.